Hey guys, I want to make a new video going over the updated Scarab farm since post patch. This is still a very strong farm and probably one of the best farms in the entire game still. It's really hard to find something that actually beats this. For me currently, this is around anywhere from 25 to 30 vines an hour. It also just depends how fast you can go on your maps. But yeah, we'll give the data breakdown in a second. Yeah, essentially this strat is you're just taking all the Scarab nodes in Atlas tree, this link down below of course, and you're just farming Scarabs in tier 17 maps. More specifically, tier 17 fortress map, but you can also use an abomination map and sanctuary map because their fragments are worth quite a bit. So it makes up for not having the barrels that are in fortress, because the fortress barrels do drop a lot of bonus loot. But yeah, tree is pretty simple. You're just taking every single scarab node on the entire tree, all the small nodes will increase scarabs. You take these ultimate wheel. You don't do ultimate itself, but this ultimate wheel also comes with increased ultimate scarab drop chance, and ultimate scarabs are worth a lot of money. So this is very, very worth it. These are the current blocks I have. This always changes depending on, how far we are into the league, but I think this is pretty optimal, at least as of right now. But yeah, as for the whole tree, very, very simple. All Scarab nodes and all map effect nodes and all quant. Now to quickly go over some data. I did 2 tests today with 2 different setups. I did one with 2 Nemesis Scarabs and one with 1 Nemesis Scarab, because I definitely heard a lot of people saying they feel like they don't get a lot of extra loot with 2 Nemesis Scarabs. And I can definitely confirm with 2 Nemesis Scarabs, you do get more Scarabs overall. My common Scarabs, well, at least my total amount of Scarabs, one using 2 Nemesis Scarabs, was more overall Scarabs. So it is worth it if you can handle it. And if you have Hunter, you can definitely easily handle it, as Hunter with 2 Nemesis Scarabs goes quite hard. So yeah, both these tests were 12 maps. This test only took 10 minutes longer because I took a break during this test. But yeah, it should have been like 52 minutes. I can do anywhere around from like 13 to 14 maps an hour. You can probably do like 15 maps an hour if you skip the breach mechanic. But I still do breach, even though it's not that great to do in maps, honestly. But yeah, so at least for me in both these tests, it should be anywhere around from like 34 to 36 divines an hour before cost. It's about roughly 1 divine per map. So, somewhere around like 25 divines in total profit after we count the cost, which is honestly quite good. And of course, the profit is actually higher than this if you sell your own Scarabs, which is what I do. If you sell your own Scarabs, you usually get like 10 to 15% more than what the Scarabs actually list here. Personally, what I do is that I will 3 to 1 all the Scarabs that are pretty worthless, and then just go on Falsus and sell all my high value Scarabs. If you bulk sell a TFT or Wealthy Exile, then usually your Scarab tabs like 10 to 15% less. So depending on which method you do, it depends how much money you're gonna get from the Scarab number. But since I bulk sell to Falsus himself, I actually do get more currency than what it says here. But either way, the Scarab form is still very, very strong post patch, and I can definitely say using 2 Nemesis Scarabs is the way to go. You don't have to use 2 if you don't want to, because it is a little bit more expensive. I believe they are like 15 chaos right now, 14 chaos, but it is worth using at this price. Besides that, we can go to the map stats real quick. So you're looking for, at least in my opinion, minimum 100% more Scarabs, with the exception if you get a high more currency roll. So if you get a map with 80 to 90% more Scarabs, but it has like 140% more currency, I would run that. If there is no more currency in the map, then I would not run it unless it has a minimum 100% more Scarabs. So for example, this map right here, this is the bare minimum I would run. When it's 100% more Scarabs and there's nothing else on here, more maps don't matter. This one is 140% more Scarabs, it's 70% more currency, so it's very, very strong. Yeah, more currency maps are actually quite strong. You actually do drop quite a bit of chaos, and usually like 1 or 2 divines in the 10-12 map test. So it is actually pretty good to run more currency. As for the chisel, I just used a regular chisel. It's not really worth using Scarab chisel. It's kind of priced around some other strategies. And then I use 2 deli orbs. If you can't handle 2, you can use 1. You can also use 3 deli orbs. I wouldn't really go past 3 because it's probably not worth the time it takes unless your build does insane damage. But yeah, 2 or 3 deli orbs is pretty optimal. 1 deli orb, but that's all you can handle. That's completely fine. 1 deli orb essentially adds 10% more monster quant, but half your loot comes from the barrels and fortress anyway, so it's not a big deal. As for Scarabs, I do think the most optimal Scarab setup is 2 Nemesis Scarabs, 1 Risk Scarab, 1 Average Seeds, and 1 Whips. Maybe 2 whips is better, I'm not really sure, but I think 1 whips is quite nice for some currency drops. If you can't handle risk, then just add another average Scarabs. Divinity was buffed this patch, but honestly, I don't think Divinity is anything special. I think it just gets you some extra unique drops, but doesn't really add any more Scarabs. So it can be nice for a little bit of unique vision, but I don't think it's really anything special. Yeah, I do think this is currently the most optimal setup you could do. I think the average Seeds is definitely the most replaceable, so you could do like 2 whip scares instead. Or you could do like a Divinity Scarab, whatever your choice. In my opinion, the only 3 really important Scarabs is Risk, Nemesis, and then yeah, I do like the 1 Wisp. And once again, if you can't handle the Risk Scarab, just put in a second Average Scarabs or second Wisps. Either one works. So yeah, I think that's about it for the whole strat. The strat is still really, really good. 2 Nemesis Scarabs is still very, very optimal. If you can't use Headhunter, or if your build doesn't use Headhunter, then you can do a 0 Nemesis setup where you just do, you know, 2 Wisp Scarabs, 1 Risk, and 2 Adversities, or 2 Divinities. That also does work. You will still get a lot of profit doing that strat because, yeah, if you aren't using a Headhunter and then 4 modifiers onto each rare can be quite difficult. But if you are using Headhunter, then this is actually like a net bonus. It makes your map actually even faster because you get so many buffs with Headhunter. I'm also at like 60 to 70 Headhunter buffs. So yeah, that is the most optimal setup. That's what I've been doing. A Fortress, I do think, is the best map, especially at the current prices. But Sanctuary and Abomination are also quite good. But yeah, I think that's mostly about it for the video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. The Scarab farming is still very, very strong and will remain to be one of the best farms for the future of this league.